way. Now people want to know how a guy like this can be allowed to get behind the wheel time and time again. Attorney Bill DeNardo specializes in DWI cases. He's joining us now live. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Carrie.
Hey, first and foremost, what is it legally that allows this guy to be back out on the streets and, in fact, behind the wheel?
That's a great question. The interesting thing about New Jersey, where Mr. Sotomayor has rung all of these up, is New Jersey treats driving under the influence or driving while impaired offenses as traffic violations, unlike Pennsylvania, for example, that treats them as misdemeanors. And in New Jersey, the judges do not have the authority to set bail on traffic offenses. Hence, until he's convicted of these allegations, he theoretically can remain out on the street if it were just DUIs that he was charged with.
So you're telling me there's absolutely no discretion, because to put this in context, we're not talking about a guy who was busted, swerving. We're talking about a guy who, back in the beginning of April, hit a school bus and took off.
That's correct. And if you go back even further than that, 1989 he has a DUI conviction. 1992 he has a DUI conviction. I believe it's been reported that his license has been suspended 23 times since 1989. Excuse me. But to answer your question, there is nothing. A judge does not have discretion. The judge has to enforce the law as it is in place, and the law says we don't set bail on traffic violations.
Well, you specialize in these kinds of cases. Should there be changes made to the law? I mean, why is the punishment so light? I feel like we hear about cases similar to this time and time again. This case in particular is extreme, but a person with 1 or 2 DWI convictions under their belt, back on the road, ends up killing somebody.
I agree with you. I think that if I were a motorist in New Jersey, I would be concerned that people like Mr. Sotomayor, who, with these allegations, he's driving a 2-ton vehicle at a level of impairment time and time again. I think that changes would need to be made. They need to be made at a legislative level. I'd probably advise people to contact their local representatives in government to try to make these offenses elevated from traffic violations to misdemeanors, for example, like Pennsylvania has.
I know that they upped the bail today. In fact, one of our reporters who's been following this case very closely reported that just about an hour ago, the bail was up to $25,000, which is probably going to keep him behind bars. I know certainly that's what the residents of Vineland are hoping for. But is there anything that we can do to keep someone like this off the streets in the meantime? I mean, taking away their keys. People talk about, putting breathalyzers in cars, but what's to say he can't just, go to a friend's car and drive that instead?
It's difficult. I mean, I would certainly, if I was a friend of this gentleman, I would like to think that I would have intervened at some point and told him it's probably not a good idea for you to drive. I would advise that people that know people like this who appear to be habitual type of offenders of this type of offense, suggest they either get some help, deal with whatever issue they may or may not have, and at a minimum, just stop driving.
Well, he has talked about the fact that he's been going through some issues. He's been depressed. I know he's an amputee. He's been in some pain, and I know he says anyway that is kind of spiraled out of control. And so many arrests in such a short amount of time, no doubt, kind of contribute to him still being out on the street. But anyway, Bill, we certainly appreciate you being here. I know you're going to be with us as this case progresses. We'll no doubt come back to you for some more analysis in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so you're